Have you ever spent an entire Saturday house hunting, wasting half the day driving between 4 to 5 different inspections, only to eventually find out that 90% of them were total waste of time? Let's be honest. Real estate photos are like Hinge profile. It's all about selective storytelling. Agents show you the highlights, but as a buyer, you need to look beyond the frame to find what they're not showing you. The truth is, you can spot the biggest red flags without even leaving your couch. Today, I'll show you how to use Google Maps to weed out the traps instantly and save yourself a stack of wasted weekend and petrol money. Here are the 4 things we need to check. First, how to measure noise buffers and hidden environmental hazard. Second, how to filter messy neighbors through your street views. Third, checking the orientation and road safety right from your phone. The last one, using Google Earth to avoid 100K in hidden site costs. We all know that location is permanent, but the house is not. You can't move the land. So make sure you watch until the end because it could save you from a massive financial mistake. First, let's look at the satellite view for the big deal breakers. Train lines, highways, and main roads. You can't just escape the noise and the exhaust here. Just input the address, then pick a house, right-click, and then you see the menu, and click Measure Distance. Now click the point you want to measure the distance to from the house. Look at this one. I'm dragging it from the house to Dandenong Road. It says 46 meters. Generally, 50 meters is the limit for 60 zone. But on Dandenong Road, you are going to want at least 100 meters. And you can drag this point to any location you want to measure the distance from. I remember I went to an open house the other day. Really beautiful house. The agent had this super loud music playing. It felt like a great vibe, but it was a trap. While I was there, I did exactly what I'm doing now. I checked the map. It turned out the backyard was right next to a highway. You couldn't see the road, but that noise was everywhere. The agent was just using the music to hide the traffic. So don't trust your ears at an open house. Trust the distance from the map. For a highway, you want at least 200 meters unless there's another houses or sound barriers blocking it. Next, we need to keep an eye on power lines. There's a lot of debate about radiation and it directly hits the property price. High voltage towers might not be obviously on the map, but you can look for their shadows. There are 2 clear signs for power lines on the map. One is the white line, and the other is the shadow of the tower. You can spot it easily. Within 100 meters is a big no. Between 100 to 300 meters is not a physical flaw, but many buyers can't get past the mental hurdle. I suggest staying at least 200 meters away. Let's measure this. This house is only 45 meters from the power line. You have to go 155 meters just to hit the safe zone. If you want total peace of mind, you need 300 meters. I wouldn't touch any of the houses in this area. After the big environment, we have to look at your neighbors. Your quality of life depends on them. Also, when agents say quiet neighborhood in a listing, there might be a truth you didn't expect. But how do you check for that? While many people are perfectly comfortable living nearby, it's worth noting that closeness to a cemetery can narrow the pool of potential buyers when you eventually sell. This shift in demand can impact the resale value for certain properties, so it's a crucial factor to consider before you sign. Zoom in. It is marked as cemetery or memorial park. Zoom in more and you can see rows of headstones. Here's a tip. When agents write quiet neighborhood, sometimes they literally mean the cemetery. The neighbors are very quiet and they will never argue with you. Also, if you want real peace, stay away from shops, restaurants, and pubs. Look at this row of restaurant and the pub. It will be messy with trash and maybe some drunks. I used to walk past a fried chicken shop every single day, and by the afternoon, half the street was thick with the smell of fried chicken and greasy exhaust from the kitchen. Just imagine how unpleasant that would be if you were the next door neighbor. What else can we find from the satellite view? Why is being squeezed by high-density buildings? Check if there are apartment blocks next door. If their balconies face your backyard, you have zero privacy and your sunlight will be blocked. Another thing is the orientation. In the same neighborhood, houses with an east-west orientation just can't compete with north-south ones when it comes to natural light. They're honestly just not as comfortable to live in. And here's a little secret agent won't tell you. Even on the same street, a house with a north-facing backyard is better than one with a north-facing front yard. This is because Australians living in the back of the house. With a north-facing backyard, your living room gets sun all year round. But if the neighbors are just normal families, is it safe? Not necessarily. We need to change our perspective and look at the blind spots that Google Pegman or Street View cannot see. We need to combine street views and satellite view here. First, drop the Pegman on the street to see the front yard. If the streets are lined with scrapped cars and garages overflowing with junk, there might be an issue with the tenants ratio or the quality of people on this street. Then switch back to the bird's eye view to see the backyard. This is where the Google Pegman can't see. This is important. Zoom in on the neighbor's backyard. If it is full of trash or even a green swimming pool full of mosquitoes, that's your nightmare. You can fix a house, but you cannot fix the neighborhood. A good community always has tidy front yards and lawns. This is what keeps your asset valuable. Now for the real pro tip on terrain. This is the most important part of the whole process, and you'll rarely hear other local creators talking about it. You also need to watch out for T-intersections and roundabouts. People call this Feng Shui, but these are actually living risks. If a house faces a road directly or sits on a busy roundabout, noise and safety are your biggest headaches. Think about car lights shining into your bedroom at night, or worse, a car losing control. Look at the house here. It's right on a T-junction, creating a major safety concern. And this one over here is sitting right at a roundabout exit, which is a huge red flag for both privacy and safety. You don't want to live with constant noise or the fear of a car crashing into your fence. These are the details you check before you waste time on a site visit. You might think the house is perfect now, but this last step is the most critical. That is the steep slope. Some areas in Melbourne are very hilly. We need to use the measuring tool in Google Earth to check the elevation. You can click the little ruler icon on the Google Earth website and measure your block. Let's see this part. If a block has a low point of 39 meters and a high point of 49 meters, that 10 meters drop means hard parking and a tiring access. It also means huge costs when you renovate in the future. If you see a 10-meter drop, just pass. 5 meter, you better talk with the builder first. A driveway that is too steep is a pain for daily driving, and it's not easy for kids or the elderly. Also, houses at the bottom of a slope face huge drainage pressure when it rains, and that's a flood risk. These terrain issues are very clear in the 3D mode of Google Maps. These lands are cheap when you buy, but once you want to rebuild, the cost will go out of control. Many people buy a house based on the renovation or the feeling, but the professional way to filter is remove the traps first, then talk about whether you like it. Every trap you avoid is protecting your future value. If you have a house you are not sure about, put the address in the comments. I will use this method to break it down for you. I'm April. See you next time.
If this was helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Ta!